The parsha for this morning is Terumah. We'll be studying it in much greater detail when we go to our partners in Torah, Kiddush Luncheon. But I want to give you how it fits into the structure of Exodus. The book of Exodus is brilliantly constructed as a sefer, as a book. It is meant to be a description of how the people of Israel became a nation. Right? It's how we became a nation. Then it's interrupted by the sins, the mistakes that people make in the desert, which results in a 40-year gap, right? A 40-year period of time in the desert. So the book of Numbers deals with that interruption in the flow of the story of how we became a nation. It starts off with us in Egypt. Right, we're enslaved in Egypt. Well, you can't be a nation if you're in exile, and you can't be a nation if you're enslaved by another people, because they control you. You don't have your own laws, you don't have your own institutions, you make no decisions. That's why you don't even have a calendar. Calendar comes later, which we already encountered. So then we leave Egypt, right? And we enter into a relationship with the Redeemer, the God who took us out of Egypt. Now, we've left slavery and we're ready to begin as a nation. Before we can enter the land of Israel, we need the institutions and the philosophy and the legal system in order to become a nation. So the book of Exodus moves from leaving Egypt, crossing the Red Sea in safety. Now let's get down to institution building, right? So it first starts off with receiving assistance from outside sources that have already been successful. His name is Yitro, my father-in-law, Kohen Midian. He has a community, it's successful. He's the leader of Midian. So Moses takes advice about how to set up a legal system, how to set up a court system so he can deal with disputes within his community. Then we get to the philosophy. What is the philosophy of this new community? What is the raison d'etre? What right do we have as a nation? And that's the Ten Commandments. Anochi Hashem Elokecha asher hotzeiticha me'eretz Mitzrayim. I am the Lord your God who took you out of Egypt, right? To make you into a nation. We enter into a covenant with God. And we have the outline. Call it like, what's the Declaration of Independence? It's a declaration of why we have a right to be a nation, right? And it has a lot to do with we're independent. You have no right. England can't enslave us. It's right out. It's all biblical. Everything in the Declaration of Independence is biblical, and a lot in the Constitution is as well. So now we have a philosophy, right? We are in relationship with God. We are a nation, and we have these basic principles, the Ten Commandments. Now we have to get it down and dirty. What are the details? You know, it's nice to say justice, justice you shall pursue, but what is justice? You have to have a legal system that says this is justice, these are the laws. So that's we read that last week, Parshat Mishpatim, the basic legal system of the Jewish people. So we have now a constitution, we have a philosophy, we have a raison d'etre for being a nation. We're missing now another major institution. And that is the religious center of the community. I have a political center, but I don't have a religious center. That's what we're going to deal with for the rest of the book of Exodus, with the exception of the golden calf, which is the glitch, right? The reason this isn't going well is the people of Israel are not yet ready and they're rebellious. They're scared. They don't know what to do. So it's going to take 40 years. There's the hint in Kitisa, the golden calf. That's just an interruption in the nation building. But it helps with the nation building because they overcome it. So now we have the creation of the center of worship. So we have a court system, we have a philosophy, we have a constitution, we have how to build our center of worship, right? The tabernacle, the wandering tabernacle. And then we're ready to enter the land of Israel because we have a nation with a system and a philosophy. All we're missing is the land. Now, just for a moment, if you look at Gaza, they did everything the opposite. They got their land, but they never built any system. Right? They built a philosophy. The philosophy is we want to destroy Israel. Their philosophy wasn't when we want to build a country. The philosophy is we want to destroy Israel. But they had no system. They had no court system. They had no legal system. They had no political system. And the result was, as we saw, taken over by a terrorist organization in which the political system is simply the will and the power of the terrorist in charge. So that's why Gaza failed. So when they try it again, they better build the systems first and a philosophy based upon living in peace with their neighbors, then they can build a nation. Without that, they can't. But a two-state solution is a ridiculous statement unless you have that in place first. All the mechanisms of a state ready to live in peace with its neighbors, which includes Egypt, by the way, which considers Gaza to be an enemy, which is why they're building a wall like you've never seen. They don't talk much about it, but they're building a wall that's unbelievable. It goes like 15 feet below. The top has the barbed wire and the whole bit. So when they can learn how to live in peace with their neighbors, Jordan, Egypt, and Israel, and has a legal system and a philosophy that excludes violence and overturning Israel, then they can build themselves a state. All they have to do is read the book of Exodus, and they'll figure out how to do it. So